Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our coverage of the 2026 Florida Film Festival. We are back here in beautiful Orlando, Florida at the NZN Theater. Welcome. My name's Ernest.
And I'm Hunter.
And we are so delighted to be joined by the team from Sylvania, which is a narrative competition at this year's festival. We have Kyle Smith, the writer and director, and Jeff Powers, the cinematographer. How are you guys?
Great.
Good.
Yeah.
Beers, welcome.
Sunshine. It's great.
We are so glad to have you here.
We'd like to welcome you to like the first day where it's like gonna hit the 90s of Florida.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry for that. It's like 92 with 100% humidity. So welcome to the fucking swamp.
That's why we're leaving tomorrow.
Yeah. There you go.
We're gonna have a nice chat about your film, but before that, I just wanted to know, how are you guys? How are you enjoying the festival? Have you seen anything good? What's been the vibe?
Coming from like a selfish perspective, I have a small child, and I am very much enjoying being here without her. I love her very much, but it's been great to sleep in, go to movies, I've been going for runs, even though the humidity's been fine.
Nice.
And just sort of kind of relax a little bit and really enjoy movies in a way that other festivals sometimes are a little more hectic. Like, I don't get to go to a lot of festivals, but this one's been very nice and very easy to see films, and the film's been great, and we've had a nice time hanging out.
Kyle was like, we have another pass, and I think I'm just going to go and hang out and watch as many movies as possible. And
Cool.
I said, sign me up, I'm in. Let's do it.
It's a good gig.
Yeah.
Can't complain too much. See a bunch of movies. So can you first tell the audience a little bit about your film? We talked about it briefly whenever we did our first batch of recaps of the festival so far. And I'm a huge fan. It's one of my favorites at the festival so far. But why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your story?
Yeah, so Sylvania is about, I have a tough time doing the log line for it, but it's about a couple, the best way to describe it is about a couple, we're kind of going through a marital crisis. The kind of sky high view is they're going through a marital crisis as they begin a road trip to visit the wife's father, who has dementia and is sort of struggling, to find help in that part of his life, which is something that I think a lot of people can kind of relate to. The more macro version is that the film sort of begins, I like to pitch that it begins with like the end of another movie, which is that the husband has made him and his family live with the technology of the 1990s in his childhood home. So they have no cell phones, they don't use like high-speed internet, they kind of dress like it's the 90s, they listen to mixtapes and CDs, and he's making everyone kind of do that. Because at the time I kind of thought about those people who like go off-grid and write a book about it, like a year off-grid, and then it like sells a bunch of copies, and I thought, this guy, what if someone tried to do that, and what would it actually do to your family, and how would it actually make your wife, feel? So we pick up at the end of that year, that's probably been miserable for this family, and that sort of triggers the malcontent between the wife and him. And then they go on this road trip through the American Midwest, which is kind of where I'm from, and so, yeah, that's kind of a nice way to describe it. I would call it a comedy drama. Would you want to add to that? That was one of my better plays on it.
When did you enter the project, Jeff? Because you guys have worked before, so did you know from the jump you were going to be working on this?
Yeah, Kyle and I have been friends for, we just were discussing, just like you guys, we've been friends for nearly 20 years. And you've made a couple things that I have not shot, but we've mostly made all of your projects together.
Yeah, this is our third feature we've done together.
So the concept when he's coming up with this idea, are you just kind of waiting to see where he takes it and then brings it to you, or are you trying to involve yourself in any way with the initial conceptual phase?
Well, we are friends, so like we like hang out socially and that sort of thing, and we do have conversations about
like
what you're working
next?
on and that sort of thing, but more kind of just as like friends. Like, I don't think we actually talked about making the movie until you decided that was the movie.
Yeah.
Because Kyle writes parallel. He's got a lot of parallel writing projects going. So
right, I feel that.
Let me ask then, Kyle, because this is your first feature in 12 years since
wow.
Blue Highway. So what have you been up to during that time? And like, what was it about this story in particular that you were like, I got to get back behind the camera and get this out into the world?
Yeah, great question. I'm doing a filmmaker thing. I'm trying to see how honest I should be.
As honest as you would like to be.
So I'll be real about my career. So that was my second feature, and it was largely self-funded, and it was not profitable. And so I had a lot of trouble basically living and making money. So I bartended and worked service jobs and stuff like that. So I just worked for a long time after Blue Highway. I did write a screenplay that is like your classic Hollywood, never got, I took big meetings and I had all this momentum, and then it died, and then it got momentum, and it died, and I had famous people attached, and da-da-da. And I spent years and years really working on that. And then the pandemic hit, and at that point I kind of didn't give up on that project. We still want to make it, but it's a bigger movie, it's several million dollars.
It's a great script, someone should make it.
Yeah, so that was kind of my focus, really, was writing and then sort of making money. Meanwhile, I also met my now wife and, fell in love and got married and had a baby and all that kind of cliche stuff. But really when the pandemic hit, everyone kind of set back, and I wrote a lot during the pandemic. And then right around when I got married, I kind of came up with this idea and realized, this is something we could do affordably. Kerry Bishé, who stars in the film, has been in our other films and is a key part of our collaboration. I mean, I think when the line was, when I approached her about the movie, she's like, I'll do it if Jeff shoots it.
And I said the same.
Yeah.
Look at you.
So there's a real, and I work a lot with friends, and because this stuff's hard.
Yeah.
So, especially when you're making a movie, kind of gutting it out, you want to, that's the phrase I use a lot, you want to work with people who are like in the trenches with you. But she's always been down to be part of us. So I guess that's how I describe it. I spent years writing things, trying to get this movie made, pandemic, reset, and then this was the idea that we pursued, and then started, I started writing in 2022, we shot in 2023, and then here we are now.
Ladybug that's like really trying to work its way up on your face. You just got it off.
I can feel it. I couldn't tell it was moss or a bug.
I love it. I want to get into Kerry Bishé, but should we save it? Because we have a lot of Kerry Bishé questions.
I mean, this is a good, you guys talked a little bit about like your creative partnership that you've had now for your third feature film that you guys have made together. And looking through your IMDb credits, you can see that you do kind of keep like a family that go with you from film to film, and I think that's really cool. I do want to ask about Kerry Bishé, though, because we should say about 9 years ago, whenever we started this podcast, we were kind of a pseudo Halt and Catch Fire podcast because we were one of like 12 people on the internet who actually were like, I love the show and I want to talk about it more, and there isn't enough content.
I was searching feverishly for conversations about that show, and I couldn't find it, so we were like, dude,
I guess
we're going to have to start a podcast.
We have to have the conversations then.
So if you go all the way back, some of the episodes are probably still available. Our first couple episodes are us talking about
the worst audio quality you've ever heard in your life. But
I guess it was the final season of Halt and Catch
something
Fire.
like that.
4 seasons, right? Or
Four, it went for 4.
Yeah.
Incredible show. I think about it all the time, and her performance in it is like one of the things that always stuck with me as what made that show special. So I'm really curious, like, obviously you can talk about your relationship with her, but I'm really curious, like, what is it about her that makes it so that this camaraderie that you're describing can sustain and continue? Is she sort of this core part of that dynamic?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I wish I had a better story how I know her. I went to college with her.
Cool.
So I've known Kerry for 20-some years. Oh, I won't give away. We're much younger than you think. I've known her for like 5 years. I just graduated college. We both graduated college. Around Halt and Catch Fire, she got, that has a very like science STEM, if you will, like angle to it. She's a programmer and all this stuff. And she also has a strong interest in, like, she like built a boat. It was all about boating and all this stuff. Now you have a fly on you. Okay, and
it's Florida, baby.
And so she has, I'm trying to describe here, is she has this like professional sort of clinical way, not clinical, but like very professional way of acting. She's
precise.
She's a working actor. She knows how to be a professional actor, but she also has this really adventurous, like, I'm down for anything personality.
Like her character, maybe?
A little bit, yeah. And that, I think, is why we work well together, because she knows the lines, she's all the things that you expect an actor to do, but also when I have a crazy idea like Blue Highway, which is, hey, let's spend 3 weeks driving across the country. My sister, who's never produced a movie, is going to produce the movie. It's going to be just 6 of us. Carrie's like, great, I'm in, like, no questions.
Wow.
And so there's this, like, she brings this heft and this thing, but then also is down for anything. And in fact, it was her suggestion to bring on Morgan Beck, the lead in the film. He's another person we went to college with, and who they've had they're great friends. In fact, really, it's through Morgan that I kind of know Kerry.
Okay.
And so she was like, I'd love to like do a movie with Morgan and explore our dynamic as like, we were like close friends, but they're not romantic or anything in real life. But to play husband and wife would be really fun. So that was also kind of her suggestion. And I've known Morgan forever. He's in my first film, Turkey Bowl. And so, yeah, she's, that was like her not her idea, it was her idea to kind of like bring that together, and that's a whole genesis of the movie.
How can we get Morgan Beck to act in more things? Because he is awesome in your movie, and I'm like looking on his IMDb, and
I think you just need to ask.
Yeah, can we get him in more things? Like, he is excellent in this movie, and his chemistry with Kerry, it makes sense that they are longtime friends, because so much of your film and what makes it work is you can feel the scar tissue that just kind of develops whenever you have these long-term relationships with somebody, whether it is like a friendship, especially if it's something that's more romantic. That one of the little scenes in the movie that I love is in the first act or so, whenever they're in a car and trying and like pumping gas and telling the story about like like this other like girl that I could have seen myself with, and she's just like, you've told me this story 100 times, and like I've been with my wife, we're about to have our 10-year anniversary this year.
There you go.
Since we started dating, and even I have that where like we tell each other the same stories over and over again, but we're doing great. Love you, Gaia. But like you can see where like in a worse relationship that just kind of festers more than it becomes something that's
becomes a breaking point almost.
Right.
So.
And I have he's heard my stories a million times. My poor wife has suffered many indignities, and I've seen her just kind of go blank as I say for the 50th time, oh, did you know about the time I was driving in this part of LA? And whatever it is.
And
so,
just like a good part, they kind of just like let you finish the story and just like go through that, and they're like, you told me that 2 days
let
ago.
the story play itself out.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe it'll change this time. Maybe it'll change it a little
won't.
bit. So one thing we're kind of dancing around is like this dynamic of all of these characters and how much the outside influence of your team is informing the performances, right? Because it seems like you guys have these pre-established relationships that this whole group is bringing into the film. But I'm really curious, when you're writing this thing, are you seeing yourself in a particular character, or are you trying to insert yourself in every character? Because you have the infant, the teenager, the mom, the dad, the old man. Do you see yourself in one or particular one, or are you kind of putting yourself into all of them?
I would say I'm in almost all of them.
Yeah.
Someone asked the Q&A the other day, and I really was able to kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot. I'm very much the son, the teenager, is probably the most direct representation of me. I want nothing more to be good at basketball, and I just wasn't, I'd say my 30s, I was play basketball all the time, and like try to hustle, but I just didn't have the gear, the height, the vision, and you could argue this a metaphor for filmmaking, where it's like you try and you work, and maybe it's not the thing you're supposed to do, but you just keep doing it because you feel like you have to. So like, there's that part of me in there.
By the way, incredible bad form from him. Like it's something where it's just like there's another great moment where Kerry kind of comes, the Gracie character comes up to him, and she's just like, do you want to do like anything else except for this?
There's my own parents talking to me. And Graham, that actor, he's like, I'm not good at basketball. But actually, given that he never really had played, I thought he came off pretty good.
This is, obviously I've seen the movie like 200,000 times, but when we went to our screening on Thursday, it was the first time I've actually seen the movie like with an audience
properly.
And I wish I could remember what moment it was. I don't. But I was watching the film and I was looking, I was like, holy shit. Graham is doing a Kyle impersonation right now? And it is lovely to behold. I think it's when he's in the pool.
Oh, okay. yeah.
It's just something he did that I was like, he just picked that up from Kyle.
I thought you were going to say when he really has to take a dump.
Yeah. So you're like, how many times that happened?
Kind of one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. I've never seen that in a movie, and I've experienced that when I'm like trying to drive to get to the bathroom on time.
Somebody's
like,
trying to hush you down, and you're like, please don't fucking talk to me right now. I just have to go. Like it's.
Well, to follow up to meld these questions. So in that scene, that I'm very much like Stewart Morgan in that. I'm like, I want to solve this problem. You have to poop, and I am going to do everything I can to do it, even if it's failing. I'm going to kind of just keep going. Now, that is another thing that is in my character, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's like foolhardy and like you should like not be running around the gas station or whatever else. So I know a lot of people here haven't seen the film yet, but the answer question, yes, I think I put myself in every character a little bit, because that's the only way I can kind of write from experience. Hopefully it speaks universally, and then as Jeff mentioned, the actors bring a lot to it.
Sure.
And it helps with someone like Morgan. I've known Morgan Beck also for about 20 years. He can kind of pull parts of me into that, knows what I'm doing, but also people like Graham, who I meet, and can kind of do the same thing.
Jeff, I want to kind of kick it over to you. I want to talk about the way that you shot this movie, because there's a lot of different elements to it, but before that, kind of backing up, you're pretty prolific as far as cinematography work goes. Like, whenever I'm looking at it, it's very varied. Seeing, I saw that you did some work for shooting music videos with Slipknot, some documentaries. Yep. Congratulations on the Red Hot Chili Peppers doc that is just now out on Netflix that people can watch. That
it turned out pretty good. They did a good job with it.
No, I saw it and I had no idea that you had any connection to it until afterwards preparing for this podcast. And I was like, oh, good job by you. That's lots of different work. One specific point in your filmography that made all of our ears perk up is your work on the show I Think You Should Leave.
I knew it. Okay, so I have to come totally clean. I worked on it for 2 days.
Okay.
Hey, that's two good days.
That's 2 days. Yeah.
They were I don't know, as TV shows often do, they're getting to the end of the calendar, and I think they were a little behind or something, so they had to do an additional unit. So I shot some parts of 1 or 2 other sketches, but the sketch that I actually shot was Coffin Flop. That's the one that I did.
The one where the bodies fall out.
Yes.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
They're trying to take away Corn Cob TV.
Yeah.
This news emerged on set, I believe. I learned that you shot Coffin Flop, and everyone was like, "What?" I mean, everyone would be like the 10 people who were there.
I was doing a movie, and it was like an indie movie, so it was a little difficult to find the right crew. Because the rates were okay, but the project was really cool. So I was having conversations with people, trying to find that person, and the gaffer of that film, once they're in production, he's like, just so you know, I talked everyone else into doing this because you shot Coffin Flop.
That's real. That's great.
You know what? Whatever it takes, man.
Amazing. I love that.
That's So I then have to ask the next question of working with Kyle, is he closer to one of the guys from Slipknot or to Tim Robinson? If you were to kind of go on the full range of people who you've worked with.
Missouri,
I don't know how to answer that question.
Did you get to work a lot with Tim?
He was there in the morning.
Because when you say you shot Coffin Flop, did you shoot him talking about Coffin
I didn't
Flop?
do that.
You shot just the actual
the bodies falling
I shot it was an entire day of nude people falling out of
nude
coffins.
bodies falling out of coffins.
Yeah.
Which I guess happens. I guess this is a thing.
Yeah. And they only
it.
show the ones where the bodies fall out is the thing. So it's
an unfair representation.
That is funny that's now been a recurrent. It was a little bit, a little piece of your filmography that now multiple people, including us, have called out.
Stick,
Yeah, hey, there you go.
So, kind of going off of that, I mean, that's a very silly, weird, comedic show.
Yeah.
Are you guys kind of leaning into tonal balancing type stuff when you're making Sylvania? Because I think a lot of people would describe Sylvania as a drama, but there are a lot of funny. I mean, we just talked about the poop joke. There's a lot of comedy in
Comedy
it.
Bang Bang legend Jess McKenna, who shows up in here. I thought that her scenes with her and the other hotel clerk are incredible. The beer pilot program joke
really good.
is one of the funniest things I've seen in a movie this year. So how do you kind of attack the day depending on the different?
I could throw something out there.
Yeah.
I think we've done enough. When we know each other so well, that the tonal shifts are maybe sometimes too easy, that even as we were going, I would wonder, is this working or what's going on? But then Kyle did a involuntary compulsory movie night in the beginning of production.
I like it.
And we watched The Jerk in Paris, Texas.
Nice.
And it was this
great double feature.
Where these overlap is what we're doing somehow, and I think that stands.
It's funny that specific scene, because I knew I had Jess there, and Jess is also an old friend. So, and then the other guy, confusingly his name Morgan Mayer, he's a bartender I know, and so he's also a friend.
He's great.
He's awesome.
So I knew I had these. They're both great improvisers, but Jess is obviously a legendary improviser. So I had this scene. I knew vaguely what I wanted, but I was like, can we just I'm like, Jess, could you just kind of riff on this? What do you think? This toothpaste, I think I had the toothpaste, I had the idea for toothpaste, but then we were kind of like, where did she take that? And then they kind of came up with this idea that they were like running, it was like Team Good Hotel, I think they called it.
Yes, yeah.
So the two of them were like, I basically gave them like 20 minutes to kind of work through this, and I was in the room, and then we largely improvised all that. So that line that you enjoy, Morgan Mayer came up with that. It's not something I wrote, but it was, I'd like to think that we work in a way, like in that particular scene, let's take the advantage of these actors and what they can do. In other comedic scenes, like what we call the poop sequence, that was all very thought through.
Yeah.
Because those, we're shooting all
Very
over,
intricate.
we're all over the state of Missouri there with these different locations, and like the lines are there. But also we knew tonally, the scene is comic.
The theater loved it. The screening that we were at,
Yeah.
people were loving it.
Yeah, 'cause it comes after this sort of dramatic scene, and then to us, that's a really key scene, because at the end of that, Stewart's character is like, kind of realizes maybe what he's done with his wife, and gives that hug, and there's kind of a moment there that kind of leads to the rest of the movie. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of an answer. Everything's a little bit different about his approach, but...
Yeah, but also it's stylistically, they're kind of treated equal, I think, the drama and the comedy. Like, there's definitely, like... The dramatic scenes have a little more weight to them.
Sure.
And
I mean, you got Kerry Bishé just bringing it.
Oh, sure. I just mean like visually and style, like just the way that we approach them on the day. That
Sure.
they're just treated with the same seriousness, even though sometimes it's it's hot sauce in the eye.
Yeah.
And
Right.
other times it's like, Dad, you need to go to a home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up because that is, I think, the most dramatic part of the film is Dad, played by Paul Dillon, the Frank character. That has to be one of the most dramatic parts of the film.
Yeah, and I did want to, I mean, since we're talking about that culmination of like this journey and where we're going to, I really loved just kind of the duality of aging that's in this, that I think is something that you have to like live a lot of life in order to make a movie like this, where not only do we have like a newborn and Frank, who is like, now getting dementia, now falling, like now it's something that you might have to work in at home, but I even love the duality of the kids, where you have a newborn and you have a 17-year-old. They're like basically like a little mini adult, but still holding on to this idea of youth and their aspiring Alaskan basketball career that they might have. So could you talk a little bit about just like what was it like kind of writing for you? Like, were you thinking about yourself and aging and just kind of seeing the spectrum of time go by? And most importantly, did you put your wife through like a do the 90s challenge for a year?
Arguably I put it through worse. But that's sort of the core, I think, of what the movie is. Thank you for asking the question. I think it's kind of the core of what it's about. I grew up in the Midwest, and a lot of my friends from high school got married right away and had kids right away. And meanwhile, I pursued a career and flailed around and lived in different cities and, whatever. And then I had a child fairly recently, and it kind of hit me as like, I have friends who are almost done with childbearing. Their kids are going to college already or in high school. And meanwhile, I'm just starting this process. But meanwhile, I am now understanding what my parents went through, right? And a little bit better. Raising me, I had 4 sisters growing up, and sort of like, what was that like for them? And I was these are all obvious things that people reflect on, but I think it was really striking me in my own relationship with my parents, sort of how mysterious they got to me as I got older, and then their own relationship with my grandparents, who I had several grandparents with dementia, and nothing too dramatic that I remember of it, but I just remember like kind of losing them a little bit. They like slip through your fingers, and you sort of lose that people I didn't really know very much. So I guess generationally, I was sort of pausing where I am in my own like life, but we all have these things with parents and grandparents and sometimes our own kids, and I kind of lost the thread there. But that was I think what I was trying to explore.
Well, it's one of my favorite aspects of the film is this ability to convey these stages of life, right, and to show through the characters almost every meaningful stage of life, from infancy to old age. Every character almost represents a different stage of that. But I think that the way you twist it is with these parents, with the Kerry and Morgan characters, they are trying, in my estimation of what you went for, they are trying to not age. They're trying to almost play in that space of childhood versus adulthood. And that's, to me, what the road trip showed in so many ways, is how can we prevent ourselves from getting older. And I think of the moment in the hotel when they're jumping in the hallway on the lines, and it's like, man, how many times do you get to do that in your regular life? What is this road trip allowing you to do that you don't get to do in your life? And you're being confronted with all these things that you've maybe been ignoring because adulthood is the way it is. So I just want to hear you talk about, like, how intentional is that? Is that something that just comes naturally, or is that something that you guys actively talk about while making the movie?
Well, one way to start answering that is that I sort of conceived of the script as like a baton pass. So the idea was like it's Stewart's movie, then it's mostly Gracie's movie, and then it's Trent, the son's characters at the end. And when it's Stewart's movie, he's only about the past. He can only reflect on the past. And that's why he's in the 90s, that's why he's dwelling on things, that's why he's obsessing about stories and all this stuff. Gracie is purely in the present or even the future. And she is now, once we put to pass to her, which I'd say happens pretty early in the movie, I'd say it's really when they go to that gas station and argue, where she tells him about her past. Because he's never heard her reflect like that. She's been a very present person. Now we're in her point of view, she's dealing with her dad and all this stuff. And then when they give it to Trent, the baton, he is now reflecting on what his parents, what they're like. When they leave Frank's house, the camera's in the back seat, he's looking at his mom, she's kind of like, says like, don't talk to me. And then the rest of the movie's all from his point of view, including with the end of the film too. So that was a way we were kind of thought we could explore how these perspectives change over time. I wanted to address though, because directing is an amorphous, hard to describe thing. The scene you're talking about where they're walking in the hallway, I was not present for either of those shots.
Oh, wow.
I did nothing to do with that.
I think you were actually, were you doing the rehearsal with like all the toothpaste and stuff?
I might have been talking to
It
the
was
other
the same
actors.
day.
And Jeff was operating the camera.
Because you got to make the most of the time in that hotel.
Yeah, and
and it was also like at that, we have been working for like several weeks at that point, and it was like such a tight team that there was too much to do, and it's like, obviously, Kyle, you don't need to direct them walking down the hallway at this point. Like,
We got
fine.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
And go on.
Well, I wasn't there. Why don't you describe what happened?
I think who went first? I think Kerry went first, and she sort of like leapt on the squares, and then she left, and then we got Morgan from wherever he was, and he came and he did those like long strides over the stairs, and I looked at our first AC, my friend Jared, and we just like had this look because no one told them to do that.
They just did it.
They didn't talk to each other. They both did.
What?
It feels so organic.
What?
Yeah, it's
That's amazing.
So like those are the synchronicities that happen when you're making a movie with people you're friends with and you're all basically staying in the same house.
Exactly. It's the environment that you guys created for that creativity to come organically and naturally. And you feel that in the film, especially in this sort of hotel environment, where you kind of get the idea that these people are operating almost in a, I don't want to say fantasy, but like almost an alternate reality of their day-to-day. And I think that's part of what the road trip aspect brings to the film, that it allows them to explore something a little bit more playful, maybe more childlike than what they otherwise would.
It was really important for me to have an indoor pool, because that was a big key part of my life. That hotel is in what's called the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri, which is kind of a slightly touristy place that folks have like condos and timeshares and they go to. But growing up, we'd often go there, and I had these memories of indoor pools. It's just bizarre, strange places, and we found that pool, and it was weird lighting, weird colors, the smell of chlorine, which obviously is not in the movie, but you're right though, it's like stepping out of your life into something familiar like a pool, but now it's like in this strange environment. Same like that shot of him shooting with the water slide in the background, like these are just weird,
it's a cool shot,
Midwest like kind of things, and that I really wanted to like put on there.
That works so well, and it's like I want to go to this actual location that you got now because of what you so beautifully capture on film. And I think that it really serves the narrative of the story, not to get like weird technical on you guys, but the way that you shoot this film, Jeff, it is, I describe it as, it's like it's dripping nostalgia. Like it has just the roller rink scene, the basketball shooting scene, like the colors that you're using just feel like whenever you are like reminiscing back on like a younger part of your life, and that you have that kind of carrying through the story works really well. So I guess kind of the question in there is, how did you shoot this? What cameras were you shooting on? Were you like consciously trying to capture like a film look while shooting on digital, or what was that process like a little bit?
Yeah, I will say Kyle is definitely more like you're more inclined to do something in a more art film direction, which I love in approach, but we've kind of gone down that road. Like some of the previous stuff was a little more like lo-fi, but at this point, I was like, we gotta go like all the way. So we shot on an Alexa Mini, which was like generously discounted to us from a rental house I work with in LA, and then we had a set of anamorphic lenses loaned to us, because let's make. I think the idea was kind of to make this small story in a way, like very big. And like I said, this is the first time I've seen it in a theater, and it was satisfying to see petty arguments played out in like a anamorphic wide shot, just like a long playing shot. That was the idea.
I mean, and I think I bring that up as we're part of the film festival this year, and I love indie movies. Like, indie film is like one of my favorite things in the world. I'm so happy that exists. I'm happy that's having a boom right now. But whenever it comes to the way that something is captured, sometimes it's a little, I don't want to say dicey, but you never really know what you're getting into, mostly just because of constraints. And like, it's beautiful that we just have a phone in our pocket that has a good camera, but then that even leads to like a little bit of sameness. So that was one thing that really stood out to me about this movie, is that yes, it does have like an indie artsy quality to it, but there's a craft behind it that you don't necessarily always feel whenever you're watching an indie film.
Yeah, it was a cool experience. Like some of the scenes we would plan out beforehand, like that gas station scene. I remember we talked about that for a long time, since there's so much dialogue, and like, how are we gonna
move around
not make this two actors standing on marks talking at each other, but also not be shooting it for 2 days because it's 5 pages or whatever it was.
You kind of turn into an action scene a little bit. There's a lot of movement and energy.
And then, but other scenes, we would just kind of rehearse them and figure it out on the day.
Did you guys do a lot of rehearsing for this?
Not leading up to it. I had long talks with the actors, with the two main actors, and then Graham Bishé, who plays Trent. I didn't know it all, and we shot this right. I can't remember if the SAG strike was either over or it was ending. It was a very stressful time casting the movie. So I met Graham very late, and I had him come to Missouri, and I just spent 2 days just like kind of talking his ear off, and that was how he got to learn.
I really like him in the film. I really hope he finds more roles, because he could be one of those guys that just starts to climb.
He's wonderful. He was in some other films in the past, and while we were filming, he was also in Fall of House of Usher.
Oh, the Netflix.
Yeah, he played a version of Bruce Greenwood's character in that. So like that was airing while we were filming, and it's like, oh, you're like in this thing.
You're like the Mike Flanagan universe now. Good on you. Yeah.
You're in my parents, like sleeping on the couch at my parents' house. So yeah, he was wonderful, but. Yeah, there's no, or just other than on the day, but I think what's more important to me is an understanding of what we're doing with the characters, and then the actors bringing parts of themselves to it. I alluded to earlier.
I'm a little curious, just to go back to the shooting of it. The movie starts out kind of making you feel like it's going to be more of this VHS 90s looking film, and then it very quickly changes to the anamorphic look. Did you guys have a lot of discussions about how much you would insert the 90s of it all into the actual filmmaking? Because, one thing we were talking about afterwards is the film, or the Morgan character, the Stewart, you don't really see him with the handheld camera a lot of the time. Is that something you wanted to insert more that you decided not to? Like, how much did you want that to be a part of the actual narrative?
I was asked this the other day in the Q&A, and it was a fun question, because to me, part of the fun of the 90s thing is and Gracie says this to him, you didn't commit. You like your minivans not from '99.
It's really funny.
And I think that would be true of him. And when you first see him, he's editing that footage, and he's got beer cans everywhere, and he's watching like sports highlights. Like he's not.
And it's been a year.
It's been a year. Like he's clearly bottomed out in some way. So there was a little bit of like I wanted that to be part of the character. And I also didn't want to get caught up in like the rules. Like you can get caught up in weird, like we were talking about time travel movies the other day, and it's kind of like time travel movies that they get caught up in like all this little nuance that doesn't matter.
You lose sight of the characters and the story. Yeah.
So we kind of were like, let's just leave it to the outfits and the music, and we'll bring the music in and make sure he's only listening to like '90s stuff. But that was it was sort of by design and also a bit necessity because we didn't have the ability to fully make the '90s look like now, So the clothes,
and deal with the DV tapes and all of that.
Yeah. So, and again, because the footage is his documentary he's making instead of writing a novel, that was kind of our way around it by showing the end of it. Like, here's what he's put together.
Yeah.
After a year.
Yeah, and we talked about it. It's like, are you sure Stewart doesn't bring the camcorder on the road trip? I'm like, no. He's like, he's done. He's done with it. Yeah.
It was figuring out the font was the last piece that he needed. It was just like getting that font right, and now we can close the book on that.
Yeah.
By the way, great soundtrack. In here, I heard like early Spoon. I think that's one of the first drops that happens, and I was like, I'm in safe hands right now. Guy knows ball.
That's a great. I actually didn't know that track. That's on one of the early EPs.
Yeah.
And our editor used to sell merch for Spoon.
Really?
So
that's fun.
There was like some deep Spoon knowledge involved, and he played a couple of those songs. Like, these are great, and I didn't know those. They kind of bridge that like indie sound and like obviously like a '90s. These are from the '90s, so they are era specific.
So I did want to before we wrap this up here, I wanted to ask a couple of questions based on. First off, like I'm always curious. You mentioned that you have an incredible script out there that's have tried to get made. Maybe you got some push. Hopefully this will be kind of the momentum with Sylvania that it needs. Can you talk about what that script might be about, or just what some of your dream projects might be?
It's next? I can allude to it. It's set in the Midwest as well, and it's a true story. It's a version of a true story of a murder that happened in Missouri about 40 years ago. So it's a big ensemble cast. Our first film was a big ensemble movie, and I initially come from the Robert Altman School of whatever, also a famous Missourian.
Great film.
The Robert Altman School of whatever. I can see it.
He made a lot of crazy movies. So that would be like more in that lane. I've also written a couple smaller films that I'm working on right now that are more like what Sylvania is, sort of about families and marriages and stuff like that. At the moment, my wife is pregnant, and so I'm just trying to hold on to dear life until the end of the year. So it might be a minute until you hear another project.
These things take time.
Yeah, that'll hopefully be where that is the dream with what Sylvania does. But we also made this because we wanted. I felt like I had to make this movie. And,
Do you want Kerry Bishé to be involved in some way?
Kerry would be in everything.
Yeah.
And she's already she's read the script and she's
cool.
Attached to it and everything.
What's next for Sylvania at this point? Aside from maybe trying to get all this out before baby comes out on the way. But
I mean, we're just trying to get it. Like any filmmaker would tell you, trying to get seen, and it's hard right now to get eyeballs and to figure out the right path for it. It's been very encouraging at this festival, especially to talk to people and get feedback. But it's a tough time for. I mean, indie films are doing well in some regard, but also. I don't know, I've loved this festival in part because I'm seeing what I feel like are genuine independent films.
Yeah.
Things that aren't getting a ton of support, even financially or with distribution or whatever. And that's been refreshing because that's what we did. And we kind of were in that spirit. We almost made the film like it was the 90s and we're making, a Linklater film or something like that.
So I meant to ask this question earlier, but what were some of the, I'm always interested whenever talking with filmmakers at this festival about like, what were some of the biggest production challenges that you ran into where it's like, I want to shoot the scene, but we ran out of money. Like, what were some of those moments that you kind of ran into as a challenge while during production of this film?
We had several.
Every day.
Yeah.
Constant problem solving.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole scene we scrapped because we couldn't get various actors there. An actor got COVID. We recast an actor.
We actually, Johnny Mars, the actor that plays the gas station attendant.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's great. He's like personal friend of ours. He was gonna maybe play a different role, right, or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, and we only had that gas station. God, shooting in Missouri was awesome. We went to talk to people at the gas station, and I'm from Pennsylvania and I've lived in LA for a long time, so I kind of let Kyle. I didn't talk because I'm a little too impatient. But so we're in the gas station and I'm like, yeah, this could work. It looks good. And Kyle's talking to the people that own it. He's like, yeah, well, do you think we could maybe shoot a scene for a movie here? Like, I don't know. I mean, we can't close it down for you, obviously. And I was like, well, we can't shoot when it's open. That would be a nightmare. Like, I guess you'd have to come on Sunday because we're closed on Sunday. But if that's okay with you to work on a Sunday, that's fine. Like, okay,
You're
great.
in Bible Belt right there. Yeah.
So
Are you okay with that?
So we're in. It's great, but we have to shoot on Sunday, and so this actor got sick on like Friday night.
Yeah, COVID.
And so we were kind of like a real crisis because we have to shoot the scene on Sunday, otherwise
Right.
we have to find another gas station, which we already exhausted. So we were just kind of sitting around the table. It's like, what if we call Johnny, like, and ask him to get on a plane? He lived in New York. Like, maybe he gets on a plane tomorrow and we see him on Sunday. And he just did it.
Yeah.
And he showed up and he did all of his scenes in one day. He, like I said, he's a real good friend of mine, but I hadn't seen him in a while. And I saw him in the morning. He's like, we'll hang out later. I just, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pages, and I just started them last night.
I think he did an amazing job.
Yeah, he's the best.
That's awesome.
I almost wanted more from that character. I was like, can we go back there?
Yeah, he's super fun. Yeah, and you know, actually, showing some movie magic here, but they're driving to another gas station, and Stewart's in the passenger seat. And there's this shot behind the back of the truck, right? We really had Johnny for one day, so we shot Johnny's take of that. It's through the back of the window, he's talking, and then we shot Morgan's days later. So they were never in the car at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we kept carrying, like, we were like, we need to get the other half of this conversation, and we just had to drop it every day, until finally we managed to squeeze it in.
And the way we did that is I was driving, Jeff is in the middle, and Stewart Morgan is in the passenger seat, and I'm like replaying what Johnny said in his take.
Yeah.
So we can like put it, because we didn't have them, so
Right.
we
Yeah.
can like actually do the same. Excuse me, I may have eaten a bug there, some kind of.
You're good. Well, I had one last question that I wanted to bring up earlier. The Morgan Stewart character, I've been thinking about him a lot because there's so many scenes at the beginning of this movie where I feel like he is not a good partner. I feel like he is so consumed by this project. He's not being an attentive partner, an attentive husband and father. And I thought he played that so well. Like his performance made it so that I really didn't like that character at the beginning of this movie. And then I kept thinking about it, and I was like, am I this guy?
Yeah,
Do I do these things in my relationship?
That's kind of the beauty about the way that he's written is like, oh shit, am I just like the dumb idiot guy who's just like, you never want to be the person, and it's usually women, not always women, but you hear a lot of times with like longtime partners, they're like, I blinked and I woke up and it's 12 years later and I'm still with this fucking guy over here. And he's not like a bad dude, but he's just
also
like,
not a
you
good
know.
dude.
Yeah, he's not a great guy.
I'm just so curious, like,
Unremarkable.
what were the conversations with Morgan about the character to that extent of like how he might be perceived by the audience and how far to take it, and if, you know, all the people in the crew are kind of injecting any type of personal experience into this character.
Well, it definitely was a challenge. I mean, Morgan, from the many of the scripts, is like, this guy's a psychopath. Like, I can't like do this. He's like,
He recognizes
you're having
it,
me
yeah.
play a lunatic. And Morgan would also ascribe that to me as well. And that's been a challenge in the movie. I feel like a feedback we have gotten from people, it's like, he's just so unlikable. It's like, well, he kind of has to be.
Yeah.
If you like him at the beginning, then
There's nowhere to go.
it doesn't believe why Gracie would leave him. So it's a challenge of a movie that breaks up.
Yeah.
It has a breakup in the beginning because you need to see some friction there.
She's a saint, by the way. Like, to Grace, to stay with this guy after all of this, like, you found a great woman, my guy.
What as she said, she's like, you're an adventurer, and here they are going on an adventure, you know, in this movie. But I think that was the sort of saving grace to me, was that the film goes on, Stewart becomes like back to who he was supposed to be. As they've left this cocoon, and he's got the Tabasco in the eye, and he's a good father. And he's like, he doesn't criticize the son as much. It's like it's a little more comforting towards Graham.
We get an arc.
Mm-hmm. So he kind of turns into who he might have been, who she married, as the movie goes on. And that was kind of a way to like maybe make it feel at the end like this marriage could continue or not continue.
Yeah, it feels like it's something where it's like they needed to have that scuffle, that like communication just hadn't been there for so long, and they kind of needed this to be a breakthrough. And I hope nothing for the best for them. The Tabasco / Cholula eye in the incident, or in the eye incident, I should say, very funny, mostly because the amount of times that like, if you're with a long-term partner that you get in like a little scuffle and you're like, I know for a fact it was Tabasco, I've been there, I hate Cholula, that had to be it. And then like you kind of go back like a day, a week, a month later, and like you look at the bottle and you're like, shit, you were right, it was Cholula. My bad.
I was wrong. Yeah,
it's a great moment. Yeah,
and I mean, the thing I'm concerned about, I think about when in movies, I love in movies, and in my own movies is our memories, right? We keep talking about family and stuff like that, but also a lot of this movie is thinking about the past and how we remember or misremember things, how her father's misremembering.
Yeah.
Stories from her past, or like about her mother and things that are sort of, it's unclear what's real or not. And the Tabasco scene to me was a way to like try to put that in a film, so you see it, what happens in reality, and then there's like a later you kind of see like a misremembrance of it. And so that was sort of the idea there.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to do like
a
fun last question?
Yeah. Obviously, best of luck with everything for this. I really hope that this does get picked up, that everything goes well, because I want more people to see this movie, because it's a great time. I had a blast with it. Got to end with one question that I've asked every filmmaker I've talked to so far. So, in addition to covering new films, covering indie films like we've been doing during this film festival, we also do actor series, where we will go back and do retrospectives on an actor's entire filmography, going through the highs, going through the lows, and kind of working out what they were up to at that time. We recently wrapped up a series on two Toms of the 90s, Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks. So the important question for you guys is, Tom Cruise or Tom Hanks? Who is your Tom?
The Burbs, man.
Yeah.
Burbs.
Wow. I think I go Hanks.
Okay.
Actually, Kerry was recently in a play that he, I believe, directed. He definitely wrote it, and he starred in it in New York, called This World of Tomorrow. Yeah, and he seeing him on stage and hearing the voice, just the voice. And I was in the back row. I had a last row seat. It's based on a short story he wrote, and hearing his voice brought this just incredible, like, not nostalgia, but just like, oh, there's like a warmth to him, a Jimmy Stewart type quality. I love what Tom Cruise has done recently for the art of cinema, but Tom Hanks to me is the...
Yeah, I'm going Hanks.
And The Burbs, there's a shot in The Burbs where he jumps into a ambulance on top of a, actually it's kind of coffin floppy, on top of a gurney.
Sure.
He's like trying to get in an ambulance, and it's one of my favorite like pratfalls in movies, so there you go.
I will say, Hanks definitely been the favorite so far coming in. We've got a lot more Hanks things.
Oh, well, we should have picked a more interesting answer.
No, it's okay.
The Burbs? I don't think anyone said
Nobody
the
said
Burbs.
the Burbs, though. I was going to say, that's a new one. What about you, favorite Hanks performance?
Well, I want to be obscure with you guys.
What's that Christmas train movie? Is that it?
The Polar Express.
Oh yeah, you do have a kid now.
Oh, you know what? I am a huge fan of Here, the Robert Zemeckis movie.
There you go.
And I love Here, and Here I think shares a lot of DNA with our film. And I saw
really does. Yeah.
I saw Here last year, whenever that was, a year and a half ago, and I was destroyed by it. I remember trying to talk to my wife about it on the drive home. I called her, and I could not stop crying. I found that movie so bleak and so moving. It's kind of like one of the saddest movies I can ever. And that basically says that life is meaningless. It's kind of the point of the movie. And yeah, Hanks is aged and de-aged, and he's fine in the movie, but that movie I think is very underappreciated. Put a pin in it. If you're a Herehead, 10 years from now, people will be exploring
you guys
that one.
got your own podcast going now.
Yeah. Let's do 4 seasons of Here.
It just, you guys are sitting in the same corner of a room every episode. Never move.
We'll never move. We get older as it goes on. It'll be great.
That's great. I can tell you, we did not get a Burbs or a Here yet.
What's the top?
Question. We've actually gotten a lot of Polar Expresses, and I think that's a generation.
Generation.
We got a lot of Zillennials that have been at the festival
Okay.
so far, so I think
Well, that's old heads, will
we
know.
got one Road to Perdition from Taccone the other day ago because he said, I want to think of something that makes me sound smart. So he went with Road to
It does.
Perdition.
Makes it sound smart.
We had one vote for Tom Cruise coconut cake. Not for Tom Cruise as a guy, just for the coconut cake. Do you guys know about this?
No.
Okay. So every Christmas in LA, he sends out to like his LA friends, people he's associated with, a lot of people, a coconut cake.
It's strange you haven't gotten one.
Well, you're definitely not getting one after your answer earlier. So.
Really, screwed the pooch on that one. No,
Yeah.
no, Sylvania 2 with Tom Cruise.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time. We really love Sylvania. We wish you the best with it. We're having the NZN is having the narrative feature awards, so you guys are in competition.
We are.
So hopefully, we wish you the best with that. And check out Sylvania wherever it ends up. We'll definitely be updating you guys on all the films that we're covering here at the Florida Film Festival with news on distribution. But yeah, Kyle, Jeff, thank you guys so much.
This
for having
has
us.
been great. I'm sorry I ate that bug like 20 minutes ago, but I think I've processed it now. So
We're in the swampland, so it's going to happen. It's better that than a gator. So,
yeah, exactly. That'd be vice versa. Yeah.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.